Hello.
Hello, welcome to Curious Monkey Gaming. I am Matt, and welcome to Medieval Dynasty. I've seen a lot of players joining the game recently, and I thought the most useful thing I could do, because this game has a very steep learning curve, I was very confused when I first started. I thought the most useful thing I could do would be a Let's Play which is beginner friendly. So a little tutorial, a little more explanation than usual along the way, tips and tricks here and there, and a brand new village. So obviously you've got these choices here. I don't need to explain those, I think. This is the 2.2.0.5 update, so it's the Autumn update. And let's start a new game. The first choice you're going to have as a brand new player is, do you want to play on the Valley map or on the Oxbow map? The Valley is a solo map. You cannot play with other people, and you cannot create a character. You start with the character Rasimir, and he has a story, and you play through his story, basically. On the Oxbow, the area itself has a story, and that's what all of your quests are, your big quests are kind of related to. And you can play it solo, or you can play it with multiplayer up to 4 people. So you host it, maybe, and 3 of your friends can join. I am going to start my new village on the Oxbow map. And I'm going to go solo because I don't have anyone playing with me at the moment. And I'm going to quickly look at customize game. We'll come back to these settings later, but there are a bunch of different settings. The important ones, or maybe relevant ones, right at the beginning are the length of the season. The game is split up into seasons. So you have, you start in spring, and then summer, autumn, winter, and then spring again. And they only last a certain number of in-game days. So the seasons are obviously very short. The default is 3. I like to increase it myself a little bit at the beginning, up to 5 or 4. Just because right at the beginning you've got a lot of things to do and you have more time to do them. Certain things can only be done in a certain season, like planting certain crops can only happen in the right season. I leave pretty much everything else. It can be nice, especially at the beginning, to put on unlimited carry weight. Some people will say it's cheating, but I say your game, your fun, your rules. So do what you want. Customize your game in whatever way you want. We'll come back down here later. 2 very useful settings are fast crafting and fast building. I will leave them off right now, just so that I can show you how things work without them. But then I will turn them on later because they're very useful. Let's start. You get a cutscene after the loading. I'm going to skip the cutscene. You should probably watch it if you're brand new. It gives you a little character background. It's not super relevant to anything in the game, but it gives you a little feeling that your character didn't just pop up out of nowhere. This is the cutscene. I'll skip it. Now you've got character creation. It's very basic character creation. It's not really very detailed. You can't do that many things. You can choose a preset. You can choose a gender and how light or dark skinned your character is, and a voice. You can do your face, eyes, etc. Details on the eyes and facial features, and your haircut. I'm just going to go ahead and do my character, and I'll see you when I'm done. And there we have it. I am done. I accept. And I'm going to give him a Polish name because it's a Polish game. And I'm going to call him Bogusz, who is actually a Polish friend of mine. So let's get going with Bogusz. You wake up in a house. You wake up in a sick house. This is a house where you have been taken care of. One thing that I recommend starting, first of all, decide if you want to be first person or third person. I usually go third person. You push right on the D-pad on a console for that. PC players, you'll have to look up the controls yourself, because I do not know them. And if you can jump up on the shelf here, and then jump up in the attic, there is a bronze axe here that you can take. And then I switch to first person when I need to look at stuff like this and make sure I'm getting everything. There are a number of potions here which are either useful or good to sell. And that's it, as far as I remember. And we can go down. And then you'll see in the upper right, you have a quest, a clean slate, waking up from a nightmare, talk to Sedowin. And Sedowin is outside somewhere. If you look up at the top of the screen, there is a compass. You see west, southwest, south. And then you'll see these exclamation marks with little rays or lines coming out of them. That is the goal of your quest. So if we have to talk to Sedowin, that is showing us where Sedowin is. And Sedowin is right here. Sedowin says, "Oh, you're alive, and you look quite mobile as well. That's surprising. You almost sound disappointed." "I'm not. Well, I had plans to poke around your insides after your demise. Just out of professional curiosity, of course. But I'm glad to see you're upright and conscious." "I'm definitely glad to be both of these things as well. Who wouldn't? I certainly wouldn't be mourning over the days when I had to empty your waste bucket. And let's be frank, you hardly ever made it to the bucket. Then I shall add an apology on top of my thanks. Who should I write them to?" "My name is Sedowin, and I'm a local barber surgeon." Interesting thing, in the Middle Ages, there was such a thing as a barber surgeon, and they were exactly what they sounded like. And Sedowin, since the Autumn update, will actually do your hair as well. So he is a barber and a surgeon. Anyway, listen to him. Tell him whether you remember what you were or not. Doesn't really matter what you say, to be honest. And when you get to the point where you say, "So what now?" he will either give you a list of exercises to do, or you can say, "There's no need, I'm fine." I'll take the exercises just to show you some of the really basic things about the game. So he tells you to go back over to the other house and pick up a list. And you find it on the table here. It's the list of exercises. Boom. And now, up in the upper right, we have a large list of things to do, but they're all really, really easy. So for example, we need to collect 10 stones. Stones are like this on the ground, and you just pick them up. You can read the tutorial, and then if you hit the little button that it says down at the bottom, you can go to knowledge. And there is a big reference guide to all sorts of things in the game. It's good not to forget that it's there. I often forget that it's there. I don't really need it anymore, but even when I was early on in the game playing, I tended to forget that it was there. So we want to pick up a bunch of sticks and stones. And eventually we've got 6 stones. We've got 7 stones. Where are more stones? Are there any stones back here? There's a stone and a stick. Sometimes things will be lying on top of each other and you can't pick up the stone. You can see because it has a stick lying on top of it. Sometimes things look like stones and they're not actually pick-upable. There's one over here. That's 9. And 10. And then you'll see it gets a little tick and it goes away. So, craft a stone knife. On console, if you hit your right bumper, you get this wheel where you've got all sorts of things you can select. We'll just go to handcrafting for now. And over here is a stone knife. These are all things that you can craft from the beginning of the game, if you have the resources. And if you don't, it shows you that little red bag. So I could make a stone axe, I can make a stone sickle, and I can make a stone knife. I'll make a stone knife. Done. So now it says to loot the chest. The chest is over here. It doesn't have very much in it, but these are things that are useful for what you need to do. So now I've looted the chest. It says to skin the chicken. So for skinning, you have to have a knife. That's why we made this stone knife. You do not have to have it in your hand or equipped or in your Hot Wheel or anything like that. You can just have it in your inventory and hold down A on the chicken and it will skin it. Skinning the chicken gave us 25 feathers and 4 meat. So now we want to go back to handcrafting and craft a simple torch. Done. When you have a torch in your inventory, you also don't have to put it in your Hot Wheel or anything. You can hit X and it'll pull it out. The torch, you can see the little symbol in the bottom right, it burns down as you're using it, so you don't want to use it when you don't need to. So now it's telling us to use the fireplace in the sick house to roast the meat. So if you'll notice there, the meat says hit Y to craft more, and it shows you I can make 4 because I have 4 pieces of meat. I can roast 4 pieces of meat. You go in there, you hit right trigger, makes maximum, and then you go accept, and now watch what happens. It takes a couple of seconds for each piece of meat. So if I was crafting 50 of these, it would take quite a while. This is actually what, sorry, wait a sec. If we open the main menu of the game, we go to customize again, and we go down towards the bottom, not all the way to the bottom, but towards the bottom. Oh, no, I went straight past it. Here is fast crafting. I'm going to turn that on, because what that will do is it will craft all 4 pieces of meat in the time it takes for about 1.5. So, yes. So we've done that. Craft a wooden spear. A wooden spear, I believe you need 1 log for, but we got logs out of the chest. So again, we go to handcrafting, we go to wooden spear, we craft one. And now there's a tricky thing, because we already have a bronze axe. You can see it in the bottom right. We already have a bronze axe in our inventory, and it's put it in our Hot Wheel, which is up on the D-pad. So the bronze axe is already in our Hot Wheel. Nothing else is. So if we had crafted the wooden spear and we had an empty slot selected in our wheel, like this, now if I craft a wooden spear, for example, it is going to put it in the Hot Wheel because we're on an empty spot. So now if I hit Y to equip, it pulls out the wooden spear. And if I go to the bronze axe, it switches. And if I hit Y, it puts it away. And if I go back up to the wooden spear, it pulls it out, and so on and so forth. So we've done all of the things. We throw a spear and hit the target. And it's telling us about inspector mode, which is really, really useful. Inspector mode is left bumper on console. You hold down the left bumper and it shows you things in the area. So in this case, I can see in orange anything I have used or dropped, such as that wooden spear. I can also see Sedowin is over there. There is a bed and boxed fireplace in here. This is good to remember, because even when you build a village somewhere else, you can sleep in these beds and you can cook in this fire. We will come back to why that's useful later. So now we need to talk to Sedowin. Hi, Sedowin.
My favorite patient is back.
My favorite patient's back. I'm done with the list. Splendid. And how do you feel? Did you have any trouble? None. I'm as good as new. I'm ecstatic to hear that. Your recuperation is truly a marvelous case. Is there anything else? As far as I'm concerned, our work together is done. So he sends you off to talk to the Castellan, who is the ruler of the entire area for the king. I'll do that. Thank you, Sedwin, for everything. All right, now we need to find Mirogod. So maybe just quickly, I'll also go through what you get in your various menus and screens here. You've got your inventory, which is relatively straightforward. If you go left and right on the D-pad, you can sort it, or filter it, rather. This is everything. This is tools and weapons, clothing, food, resources, valuable items. That olive oil is something we can sell for a good bit of coin, and it shows us our coin, quest items, and that's it. If we right trigger, we can go over to skills. So skills are extraction, which is cutting down trees and mining rocks and metals. Hunting, which is obvious. Farming, which is obvious. Diplomacy is romance and making deals. So buying and selling. Survival is picking things up off the ground, mostly. And that's how you level it anyway. Production is making things, cooking, sewing, crafting, etc. We go one more over with the right trigger. It's our journal. We can see all of our quests, finished quests, failed or unfinished quests, and event history. Go one more over and we're on the map. The map is pretty important. We'll get into the map in a bit more detail in a minute. For the moment, you can ignore management and technology because they are to do with building your village, and we haven't even started that yet. Knowledge is, like I said, it's basically tutorial information, and it explains a lot of the game, but it doesn't explain everything, which is why the game can be quite confusing at the beginning. Anyway, let's go find Mirogod. And again, if we use inspector mode, we see that these are all merchants. This whole circle here in Piastovia are merchants, and here is Mirogod. Stop bothering me. Don't you see that I'm... Oh, it's you. You took your time. Good day to you, my liege. I'm here at your request. Less talking, more paying attention, peasant. Mirogod is not the nicest person on the map. My time is precious. Listen, I made a deal with your guild for a whole caravan. Builders, crafters, architects, tons of materials, everything necessary for the creation of a new settlement. But instead of it all, I got you. It's not my fault that... Shush! I'm not done talking. Now. Because you people decided you'd like to be ambushed and slaughtered, your friends back in the guild don't want to send anything or anyone more. That's not what we agreed on. But I'm too tired, too busy, and too annoyed to try and reason with them. So you'll have to do. It's a little typo. Should be you'll have to do. Have to do for what? To build the new settlement, of course. Oh, that. Sure. Piece of cake. That's what I like to hear. Although I have absolutely no faith in your success. At least I can finally hear some enthusiasm around here. Don't worry about a thing. I'm a professional. Well, maybe I've misjudged you. Enthusiasm, confidence. You may actually be worth something after all. Great! Go and find Derwin. He's my quartermaster. If you need anything, bother him with questions, not me. Will do. Oh, I almost forgot. I hereby grant you the yada yada. You can now build on whatever unoccupied piece of land you like. Just remember about taxes. Sure thing, boss. So, that wasn't particularly useful. Not a very nice guy, Mirogod. Derwan. Or is it Dervan? I'm not sure. Glad to finally see you in good health. I'm Derwan, Piastovia's quartermaster. I was told by the Castellan to speak with you. I understand. Allow me to elaborate a bit on your situation then. Our ruler tends to be brief at times.
Because of the taxes or...
Yes, please. That would help a lot. You see, your guild was invited to the Oxbow in order to start a new settlement, which in time could develop into a strong ally of Piastovia. That much I've heard. But what you might wonder is, why would Piastovia need such an ally? Or what does it really mean to be its ally? These questions are hard to answer, for sure. Someone could even say, dangerous to ask. What are you trying to say? Sorry, forget I said anything. I didn't want to insinuate that you're in any kind of danger. The Oxbow is a wonderful place. Apart from a hungry wolf, or a drunk adventurer turned bandit, you have nothing to worry about. Just be careful who you put your trust in. All right, Derwan. I will then. Good, good. When you were talking with the Castellan, I put things for you in the chest next to Sedwin's house. It's not much. A few of the items that we recovered from Carnage, and a couple of useful things that will help you get started. Thank you very much. This is it then. The only thing left to do is go out there and explore. Roam around and find the best starting place for the new settlement. I'm sure you'll do fine.
These days, price rises are
That's what I'll do. Farewell. So, the chest that he mentioned, I've had playthroughs where I forgot it, and it's good not to forget it. It's over here, where we were before, where the chicken was, and which we already looted, which is the confusing part, which kept me from opening it before. And there's a lot of useful stuff in there. But first, let's look at the map. So the map, you can look around it, you can zoom in, zoom out, and you can see, first of all, that we are in Piastovia. We are this little triangular arrowhead kind of shape. And there's all this red around it. This is just an area where you cannot cut down trees and you cannot build. And every village, Skalki, Ostoya, Planitsa, and the swamp, and one little area up here, which I'll leave that for you to discover what it is on your own. It's a surprise. All of these red areas just mean you can't cut down trees and you can't mine rocks or stone, and you can't build. And then you see little roads everywhere. One thing that is new in the Oxbow, which is different from the valley, is if you zoom in on the map all the way in, and then you see this little light area in the rocks, that is a cave. It's not necessarily a mine. Not all caves are mines. But, for example, if we go down here, here is another one. This is a cave. And caves are good to explore because you can mine copper and tin and salt in them by yourself well before you can build a mine, which allows you to make better tools, which is pretty important in the long run. I recommend that you explore a bit before you start. It's nice to find an area that you think is interesting, that you think is beautiful, and so on. You do not have to jump immediately into building a village. I am going to jump immediately into building a village because I want to show you how that works. I've never built over here, and I know that there is a cave right here. I know that that cave has two bears just below it, which I don't want to deal with to start with, but I'm going to go over in this direction and maybe put a marker here and start building something over here and get rid of the bears. That's the first thing I'm going to do. But like I said, I encourage you to run around and check things out and just get to know the area. So if we open this chest, there is a bow, which is useful. There are copper arrows, which of course with the bow are useful. There's a copper axe, which I'm going to sell. There's a copper shovel, which I'm also going to sell. There are 3 stone axes. So when you're picking up multiple things, there's 2 ways you can do it. So there's 2 stone spears, two torches, 2 wooden hammers. If I want to pick up the wooden hammers, for example, I can tap A on them and it opens this, and then I can right trigger and it goes to 2 and I can hit OK and it picks them up. Or I can just hold down A and it picks up both of them, picks up the whole stack. This is especially useful if you're picking up a stack of 1,000 something or, 500 something. So, I'm not going to take... Actually, I'll take the copper hammers and sell them as well. I'm selling all this stuff because you don't really need good quality stuff, and I'm overloaded. So if you look in the bottom right, that small circle, it shows you a circle yellow to red. Red means you're so, if it's all the way at the end, it means you are so overloaded you can't move. And if you look in your inventory, in the middle of the screen, basically, at the bottom of the list, is red 51 kilos of 35. That means I'm carrying a lot more than I should be, and that makes it difficult to move. And I can see how much I'm over. So what I can do, I don't really want wooden spears, and you can see the number has gone yellow. That means I can move, but I'm going to be moving slowly. I'm going to get rid of that spear as well, and the simple torch, because I've got better torches already, and we'll leave it at that. And while we're in Piastovia, we can sell a bunch of these things. You can see that I'm walking really slowly. Really slowly. That is because, as you can see with the weight meter down on the bottom left, I am almost at full red. And that means you walk really, really slow. So, I'm going to go chat with one of these merchants. There are, I think, 10 or more merchants just in Piastovia.
Hail, friend.
And I'm going to sell this guy some stuff. So I like to sort these. So for example, this is something I definitely don't need, and I can sell it. And these things are useful potentially. These things don't really sell for very much, so I'll keep them. Here is where I can start selling things. I can sell them the bronze axe, which is almost broken. You can see the condition column. All of these things are 100%. Other than the knife, which is 75, as you use things, they wear down. I'm going to sell that knife. I'm going to sell one of these knives. Keep the other one. I'm going to sell that. I'm going to sell the copper axe, both of the copper hammers, and the wooden hammers because they're really easy to make. And that's maybe it for now. And you can see down in the bottom left of the list that I have 871 coin right now, which is not bad. It's pretty good. So
My wares?
I'm going to leave
So
this
long.
guy. Tells you that there are merchants in different places. And I'm going to jog out of town towards the north. And something that the Oxbow map has that the Valley map does not is abandoned buildings. There are buildings all over the landscape. I don't know how many of them there are, but there are quite a few. And they all are empty buildings. They're slightly ruined, and they have interesting things to find in them. This is a camp where you can recruit people for your village. We will get back to that in a future video. So if I just keep essentially jogging north up here, and I might put a few things in my Hot Wheel. So your Hot Wheel is not displayed as a wheel. So 5 is the top and 1 is the bottom. You have to equip arrows, but they just get the little red, black diamond on them. You don't have to equip a knife to skin animals. It just needs to be in your inventory. And same with the torch. You don't have to equip a torch for it to be something you can use. So, I always keep my bow out when I'm wandering around because I like the bow and I like shooting at things. And I like not being up close where things can hit me. But right now, in the early part of the game, bandits can randomly spawn in camps, but they don't randomly spawn in these buildings, when you're approaching a building like this, I recommend, especially once the game goes on a little bit, I recommend that you use inspector mode, and it will show you the little word bandit above the bandits' heads, even if they're inside the buildings. So, but at the beginning of the game, there won't be any in these buildings. So up here you can find eggs and feathers. And there's another copper axe here. And if you go all the way upstairs, and sometimes I go into first person for these things, there's a beer bottle, and a beer bottle, and a beer bottle. And I think that's this side empty. If we go back down the bottom, and go around this side, upstairs there is a potion of instant healing, potion of satiation, some coin, some fur, some oat beer, which sells for good money, another oat beer, and another oat beer. So all good things to sell. I don't remember if there are more things in this building. If you're watching this and you know, let me know, and I will come back some other time and check it out. But now what we can do is run back to town and sell those things we just picked up. And we should have a good little bit of money. Something else that is useful to know is your stamina runs down. You saw just now that my screen started to darken and I started breathing heavy, or Bogush did. You can see down in the bottom left, the green part of the circle is going down while I'm running. It also goes down when you're doing things like you've got a bow pulled back or you are fighting. But the most common one is running. So it goes down and down and down. The screen starts getting darker and you start breathing heavily and then you stop running. And if you let it run all the way out, it takes more time for it to come back. You have sort of a pause where you're just exhausted and then it'll start coming back. So yeah, running has its limits. There are skills which will help with that in the future, but for now, running is just a bit of a pain. So let's go find a merchant. This is the
How can I help
guy who
you?
runs the tavern, Balim. And we're selling him, first of all, we can sell the eggs. They don't bring much money, but we don't need them. We can sell oat beer. And you'll notice, for example, the beer bottle. It says the price is 3, and I have 3 of them, so it should be 9. If I look at my inventory, the beer bottle says 6. So default, at the beginning of the game, you get half of the price that's listed in your inventory when you sell something.
How can I help?
Just a good to know. I don't really need fur right this second. Did I have anything else? There was a copper axe. Can sell that. Why not? Yep, that's
Only
good
the
stuff.
best. Good luck.
So now I have 1,200 coin, which is not bad for the first day. And with that, I'm going to do something that I will explain a little bit later.
Seems to be doing just fine. Hail, friend.
I'm going to go to Microslav, who is the guy who sells general resources and sometimes some tools, or actually the tool is what I sold him. So yeah, he sells resources. One of the things I like to do as early as possible is plant flaxseed. And I usually start with a 5x10 field, which means 50 plots. So I'm going to buy flaxseed. And we'll get
Whatever you
into
need. So long.
farming in a little bit
I
later in
almost
this
forgot
video.
that there are some other
So-
colors besides brown and white.
So you may remember on the map, I marked over here where I want to go. Over here is an interesting spot I've built in different places on the Oxbow, And I like to, if I'm starting again, I like to build somewhere I've never built before, and I've never built over here before. It's got a small lake, sort of for itself. It's got some interesting forested area and hilly areas. It's got a very rocky area with a mine, a cave with a mine. The big problem is right here is a bear spawn. But I'll show you how to deal with that when we get there. So I'm going to jog over there. There are some wolves on the way that I remember. Dealing with animals early in the game can be a bit annoying. Especially since with the latest update they actually put in, I believe, some more health points for the animals. So that thing that just popped up was for water. So you can drink from rivers. You can drink from rivers by just going down there and holding down A. You need to eat and drink in this game. And those meters down in the bottom left, the blue one, of course, is water. The yellow or orangey one is food. And you want to keep an eye on those. The game will warn you very clearly. Your character, Bogush, will start saying that he's very thirsty or that he's starving or whatever. And you have a fair bit of time. When they run all the way down, you will start taking damage until you eat or drink. You do not have to sleep. There was a little tutorial pop up just a second ago telling me about sleep. And it was telling me just because it's near the end of my first day. But you do not actually have to sleep. Oh, look at that. A rabbit. You can punch rabbits. And they make a horrible noise. And then if you have a knife, you can skin them. And you get meat and fur. I recommend always punching rabbits. And not shooting arrows at them or hitting them with your axe. Because that just uses the durability. Okay, that's a badger. Badgers are a bit more annoying than rabbits. You can't just punch them. And they fight back. Rabbits, you can take them out in one punch. So you never need to use a weapon on a rabbit. One of the good things to know, which I will demonstrate now, these are sticks. These are actually saplings, but when you take one of these, you get, in this case, 2 sticks. In this case, maybe 3. Yep, 3. And you can pick sticks up off the ground, but you always only get 1. So I always go for these saplings. And what we want is 16 sticks. I've got enough. And then, if you catch yourself out in the wilderness at night, and you don't want to be out in the wilderness at night, and you just want to be able to see again, you can go anywhere you want, except in those red areas on the map. There's an interesting rock. And you can hit your right bumper, and you can, sorry, not that one. You can go over here to furniture and decorations, which is misleading, and then down to campfires. And the simple campfire you can build right from the beginning. You need 16 sticks, and you can put it down almost anywhere. And then you have to light it, so you need a torch. But once it's lit, you can either cook on it, which I'll do because I have 2 meat. And now you see that it doesn't go through 2 meat. It just goes basically through 1 because we have fast crafting turn on. And you can sleep next to it. And it'll ask you if you want to cancel or sleep to the next day. So let's take a nap until the next day and we can start fresh. You can leave the fire there, or you can equip... Oh, wait a sec. I need to handcraft a wooden hammer, but first I will select an empty slot, and then I will handcraft a wooden hammer. And this is good to know. Wooden hammer is what you use for building. So when you pull the wooden hammer out, you can select a build mode. So when you have the wooden hammer out, if you hit left trigger, you can either build, repair, destroy, or cancel. In this case, we're going to select destroy, and it shows you destroyable things in red. There's only the fire, because we haven't built anything else. And if you just point at it, you can get rid of it. Good to know. Good to know. So before the next night, we are going to get a little house built for ourselves. And maybe get started on a field. Somewhere around here, there are wolves. Generally, when you're getting near wolves, you can hear them. They will howl in the distance. And if you hear them growling, that means they're really actually quite close to you. On the Oxbow map, you respawn in your bed. So if a wolf attacked me right now, I would respawn in Sedwin's sick house in Piastovia, the city where we started, or the town where we started. Once I build a building, or build a house for myself, the bed in that house becomes my bed, and I will respawn there. So having a house early at the start is nice because you don't have to keep going back to respawning in Piastovia and running all the way back to wherever you were building. You can just go straight to your house, which is maybe not too far away from where the wolves or the bears or whatever it was killed you. So this is roughly the spot where I want to build. There's some flat-ish land, some open land at least over here, which is not bad for farming. There's some forest over here, so there's lots of good trees I can cut down. It's not a bad spot. So to start with, it may be temporary, and do not be afraid to just build a couple of things to start with and then knock them down and move them once you know what you're doing. That's totally fine and normal, and everybody does it. So I'm going to start by building a house. So how you do that? You hit left bumper and you get all of these things. So this is where our handcrafting is, but then we also have buildings. You go to buildings, and then there are a bunch of options, but you just go to houses. You can only do the one house. The blue lock indicates that you have not earned enough technology points to get the bigger houses. We'll go to technology points in a minute. So select small house, and there it is. Oh, I need food. But I'm going to continue with this. So, simple small house. Two things to know about it. Obviously, if it's green, you could put it down. If it's red, you can't because it's too close to a tree. And this one is standing up on stilts. If you find a flatter place, it'll be on a flat foundation. You can do either. They cost slightly different resources. The one with stilts requires logs for the base, and the other one requires stones. Makes sense, kind of. But it's really up to you how you think they look. And as you walk around, you can see that it just automatically changes depending on how flat the land is. So if I go all the way up to the top of this hill, then it becomes a foundation, and if I move forward a little bit, it becomes stilts because the land is sloping down. So I'm gonna get into the trees, and what it does is it puts it down as a reserved sort of blueprint, and then if you pull your hammer out, you can see the next building part. So we need 2 more stones to build that part. Let's grab some stones. And every time you hit, you put 1 resource in. So there's 9, now there's 8, and so on. And you just keep banging your hammer until it's done. And then it goes onto the frame. So, when we get to the frame, I will show you fast building. You're going to do a lot of this. Cutting down trees. I recommend that you have multiple stone axes in your inventory, because they break really easily. You can see down in the bottom right that the durability is decreasing as I smack this tree. Be careful with trees. They will fall on you and potentially kill you. So, log, log, log. These are spruce trees. This particular kind of tree gives you 3 logs. Over here is a birch tree, the white one. And birch trees take just as many hits, but they only give you 2 logs. So birch trees are bad trees. Spruce trees are okay trees because they give you 3. And wow, this tree is doing strange things. And maple trees are the best trees. They give you 4. But in this area, I believe there are no maple trees anywhere nearby. So I have a number of logs. You can see down in the bottom left that I'm getting a little overloaded. So I'll go put these logs in. So that is normal building. You bang once, it puts 1 resource in. If I go to customize game and I go to fast building, it puts all of them in at once. This I will keep on because I think it's probably boring as hell for you to watch me bang millions of resources into whatever I'm building. Another good thing to know, trees leave stumps. If you make a shovel, you can handcraft a shovel right here with 2 logs. If you make a shovel, you can dig up these stumps. The thing to know is if you leave the stump, the trees will grow back in 2 years. 2 in-game years. If you dig up the stump, the tree will never come back. So, for example, I don't mind in this particular area if there are no birch trees. So, to make a shovel, I need 2 logs. We know that spruce trees give 3. So once it's cut down, you need to hit it twice, and then it'll split it into logs. There. I have 3 logs. I can make a shovel. I need to add the shovel to my wheel, and then I can select it in my wheel, and then I can go over to this birch stump and say, go away. Bye-bye. And it's gone. And I can keep cutting spruce trees. I'm going to cut a whole bunch of spruce trees and make a stack of logs just because they're useful for building. And I'll fast forward this and see you in a minute. So I just unlocked the well, as you can see. This brings us to technology points. So let's open up the menu quickly and go over to technology. So in technology, you have building technology, survival, farming, and production. As you do these things, so as you craft or cook, that gives you production technology points. As you build, it gives you building technology points. And then on the green bit, you can see it goes from top to bottom, and wherever the green is, when it passes over one of those diamonds, you unlock a new building. So I've got the well. I will get the resource storage, the woodshed, simple house, the excavation shed, and so on. To start with, the well just allows you to get water when you're not near water, which is pretty useful. That's why it's one of the first things you unlock. The resource storage will be the next thing that I'll unlock, and that's really useful. You can store a lot of resources in it, and anyone in your village can access anything that's in the resource storage, which is very useful. The woodshed, which is one of my goals for spring for sure, is to build a woodshed and get a villager in it, because then they can start cutting wood for you and you don't have to keep running around cutting down trees. But we'll get to that. Anyway, I unlocked the well and I chopped a lot of trees. I'm going to chop some more and see you in a minute. Good thing to know, you can dump things on the ground anywhere you want and they do not despawn. So right now I'm carrying a whole bunch of logs, for example. I can hold down X, that will drop all of them, and then there's a stack of 11 logs. They will stay there. So I don't have to carry these things around until I have a resource storage. I can dump all of my bark, all of my sticks, all of my straw, all of my fur, all the feathers, etc. And they just land there on the ground and they will stay there. They can be a bit hard to see from far away, but if you use inspector mode, left bumper, you see that they're all there and they're very clear and easy to see. So I'm going to keep cutting trees. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I will put it up on screen in editing. Every kind of house, and you can build houses in different materials, requires a certain number of, in this case, logs, sticks, and straw. So it's good to know, if you're building a certain kind of house, how many that is in total. I am building a simple small house, and I'll put up on screen now how many logs, sticks, and straw it needs. And it can be satisfying to just collect all of what it needs, and then boom, 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 and just build it without having to wait. You won't be able to carry everything it needs, probably. Certainly not right at the beginning, but you could at least gather it and put it on the ground like I have here, and put it all into the house. I don't think I have everything I need yet. I certainly don't have enough straw, but I'll show you how to gather straw in just a sec. And you don't have to completely finish a piece, you can put part of the resources in. So now all I need in this house is straw. So I'm gonna dump some things inside the house. Feathers, flax seeds, logs, spruce bark, sticks. Don't need any of that right now. Boom. Sometimes when you drop a bunch of things, they bounce off of each other, so be careful of that. They can fly all over the place. But like I said, you can use your inspector mode to see them and pick them up no matter where they fly to. So drop these as well, holding down X to drop the whole stack. Now I'll show you something cool also. So if you open this menu and you go to photo mode and you push in the right stick, you hit Y to go into camera mode, and then you push in the right stick, you get a completely free screen and you can fly a camera around and see a pretty good big area. And you can see all around you. So over there you can see where the road goes and where the cave is. You cannot fly anywhere you want. It's connected to your character, so you can't fly too far from your character. But you can see over there, there's a cave. There's all this open space. It goes down to the river down there. And up this way, you can't really see it. But, wait a sec. Right trigger is up. There is a little lake, which I showed you on the map before. So, we know if we run up this way, there's a little lake. And it's actually a pretty little place. So we get to this lake, there's a little road that goes around it. And sort of rocky hills all around it. It's a place you can wash. Yes, there is washing in this game. You can get dirty. It's a game you can drink, or a place you can drink. And it's a place with lots of reeds, which are straw. So if you go down to somewhere like this, and it's always going to be near water. Not all water has reeds, but reeds are only near water. And you can just hold down A, or the gather button on your keyboard or your PlayStation, and just gather. And you can see that we just got a survival skill. So let's open up skills. Skills show you a little yellow star when they have points to spend. I always take these first skills. Different people disagree with me, but I always take the first skills because if you take them all the way up to 3, you get 15% more experience doing those things. And I think that's pretty useful. So I'm going to put a skill point into the knowledge. The first of every skill tree is knowledge. Extraction knowledge, hunting knowledge, farming knowledge, etc. And each of them gives you up to 15% extra. So I'm going to just gather straw. I'm going to gather more than I need. Straw weighs very little. And it's also a good way, honestly, to level your survival skill. You can just gather all the straw, and eventually you will level up your survival. But I'm just going to gather around 100. I'm not going to bore you watching me gather a million. But this is one of the reasons this little area is actually quite nice, because there's a pretty lake. There is straw. There are fish out there and birds that you can hunt and fish. There's a bit of forest. There's a rocky bit. There's a mine. There's all sorts of things, which I think is pretty cool. So, our house back there is almost finished. That's one of the very first things you want to get done. Take out my hammer again, and I should have more than enough straw to finish the roof. Now, another thing to know about houses, when you have... Let's go in here. And let me open this up. Left trigger. Destroy a wall. And then go into build mode. If a wall is not there, it says simple small house, wattled wall, and then you have A to edit. So it's a wall, and I can make it a wattled wall, which it is, or a wooden wall, or a stone wall. And I can do that from the very beginning. I don't have to unlock anything. The differences are the higher level materials. So wattle is the lowest, wood is the middle, and stone is the best. The higher level a material gets, the better insulated it is, which means people living in it will use less firewood and will be happier. We'll get to firewood and happiness in the next video. But just so you know, it's possible. You can also take a wall like this and change it to a window. Alright, or you can't change it into a door. Houses like this can only have one door.
The hungrier you
But
get.
you can change it between wall and window. One thing a lot of people don't know is you can move the door on any house. The way you do it is you turn the wall that has the door into it into a wall that doesn't have a door in it, has a window, or is just a wall, and then you can turn another wall into a door.
I'm
Anyway.
starving.
Let's, oh wait, we put everything in here. Let's pick up the logs, and let's pick up the sticks, and then we can finish this wall. I'm missing one stick. Cute. And here we go. Boom. Okay. So I'm going to gather all of these... Whoops. I'm going to gather all of these things off the floor. Was there anything else? Oh, yeah. Oh, see, this is... Yeah.
I'm hungry.
This is actually a good warning. Don't drop things in a house you haven't finished. Damn it. Okay, so I dropped these things on the floor in the unfinished house where there was no bed. And when it finishes, it automatically puts in a fireplace, 2 beds, and a chest. And it put some of them over the things that I had here. So I can't pick them up anymore. I can only go to sleep. And that's not that big a deal because I don't really care about spruce bark or feathers, but I paid money for the flax seeds.
I'm hungry.
So this is a bit of a pain in the ass. But it's a good troubleshooting example. What you need to do is knock out the walls and the roof. So I'm going to have a lot of work to redo here. And this thing...
Seems I forgot about food. Again.
Oh man, and it's going all the way back. Okay. Yeah, you have to knock it all the way back to the foundation. So, don't do what I did. Definitely do not do what I did. Because it's a massive waste of time and materials. Yeah, bad idea. Rookie mistake. So let's get to cutting trees again. There is a building skill, which will be the next one that I will get, I think. Or the second one I will get. Which gives you 50% of materials back when you destroy buildings. That is pretty useful, so that if you have to destroy a building for any reason, you want to move it, you don't like where it is, or you make a stupid mistake like I just did, you get half of the materials back at least. So it's good to have that, but I do not have it yet. So let's maybe fast forward. Oh, I got the resource storage unlocked. That's also good. Let's fast forward and I'll just cut more trees and rebuild that house. Don't forget, if this is proving useful to you, and you are maybe enjoying it, don't forget to like and subscribe, as the YouTubers say, because we have to. Apparently, when you remind people to do it, a lot more people do it, which I guess makes sense. So yeah, I'd actually like this to be a bit of a community. I would like to hear your questions, help solve your problems as much as I can, and
I can hear my
that only
stomach rumbling.
helps or happens if you actually come back. While I'm doing this, I can tell you a little bit about exploring. So at the beginning of the game, there's basically nothing to be afraid of, because if you're playing on the Oxbow anyway, you can do whatever you want. You will respawn back in Sedowin's sick house. You might get attacked by something. There are numerous animals on the map. Some animals will avoid you, run away from you. Some animals will attack you only if you bother them. And some animals will attack you if you get anywhere near them. They're aggressive. So You might get killed by wolves, you might get killed by a bear, you might get killed by a wisent, which is basically a bison. But in general, you don't have much to worry about right at the beginning, because you'll just respawn back in Settling's house. And I encourage you to, you know, open up the map and have a look around, zoom in on some places, see what you think, see what looks interesting, find a piece of landscape that you think would be maybe a good place to build, and go look at it. Check it out. Maybe it is a good place to build. There are popular places to build. I can tell you down here, where the river gets wider and the bridge goes over it, there is a mine, which is very useful. Right here is a waterfall, which is quite beautiful. There's a whole bunch of relatively flat land that you can use. There are lots and lots of trees. It's a very beautiful spot, especially in autumn. Right near Piastovia, where this triangle intersection is, there is a mine, which is very useful. There are a bunch of trees. It's an interesting landscape. There's a bit of mostly flat land around here that you can expand out into, and it's really close to town. One of the things you'll be doing in this game a lot is running to town to sell stuff. My place that I'm building now is not that close. It's pretty far away from Piastovia. It's kind of between Skalki, Piastovia, and Klonica. But it's not really close to any of them. Having a base here, where your house and your farms and your mine are all a very short run, you can actually see Piastovia from here. That is pretty useful. So play the game the way you want to. You don't have to rush in the first day to build a house like I did. You don't have to rush to do anything. You can really take some time. You could explore the map, the entire map, for a year if you felt like it, and that would be totally fine. So I've got some extraction to build. I'm going to get extraction knowledge, like I said, and then Master of Destruction is always the second one I get, because that's the one where you get 50% of your resources back when you destroy something you built. It's pretty useful. So finish the house. I'm going to sleep till the next day, and the next day we will do some farming. Good morning. Here we are. We have a house. We have knocked down quite a lot of trees, twice as many as we actually needed to because of a stupid mistake. But that happens. So, the first thing we're going to do is put down a field. So if you hit the right bumper and you go into buildings, I know fields are not buildings, but that's where they live in this game. Buildings, farming, and over here is field, and here is orchard. So we'll start with fields. There are a number of interesting things to know about fields. First of all, fields can only be oriented north, south, east, west. You cannot rotate them. What that means is, if you look at the top, my compass is pointing at north. So when I make a field, it will be going directly in that direction. And when I expand it, it'll be going directly west. Yeah, and I cannot change that. That is just how fields work. Down at the bottom of the screen, you can see how large the field I'm working on is. I like 5x10 fields because they have a very easy mathematical value. My brain don't math good, and I like being able to know that if I have one field, I need 50 seeds, which is why I bought 50 seeds earlier. So there's my field, and I see these little posts, and when I look at the land of the soil, inside those posts it says not grubbed up. The first time you put down a field, and only the first time, you need to have a hoe. So let's handcraft a hoe if we can. We cannot. We need one more stick. So let's get not marl mushrooms. Here is some sticks. So I can handcraft a hoe. And I didn't select an empty slot, so I have to go into my inventory and put it in a slot. And it's in slot 3. And now if I go over here, see not grabbed up. Boom. Now it is unfertilized, which means it needs fertilizer. We'll get to that. But basically you go through each of these plots. There's 50 of them in a 5x10 field. So you do this 50 times. It's kind of meditative. Kind of boring, but kind of meditative as well. Kind of. I recommend at the beginning that you do your own farming. When you do a fair bit of farming yourself, you will get through the farming technology tree quicker. What I mean by that is if we go to technology and we go to farming, you can see there's food storage, barn, farm shed. The 3 of those are very important. Food storage, when you can build it, it means you can put food in it and all of the people in your village can get food out of it. It doesn't sound very important, but we'll see later that it is. Barn allows you to make various things out of farmed material. So you can make fertilizer in there, you can make flour, you can turn your freshly harvested grain into seeds, and so on and so forth. Farm shed allows you to tell your villagers to do things in the farm. And everything after that is, well, many things after that are animals. Hen house, that'll give you feathers and eggs. Pigsty will give you manure to turn into fertilizer. And the one I really want as soon as possible is the donkey shelter, because then you can buy donkeys and breed donkeys and you can ride them around and they can carry more than you can, so you more than double your inventory space, and you move a lot faster if you're riding. And then even further down you get the stable where you can get horses. So leveling up farming as soon as possible is always a goal of mine. So I do in the first couple of years, there you see, we just unlocked food storage. In the first couple of years, I usually do my own farming and don't get villagers to do it, whether I have villagers or not. Okay, my hoe broke. Basic weapons and tools break really quickly and really easily. So let's cut down the tree. And if I remember correctly, a 5x10 field or a 50 plot field will take 2 wooden hoes. One will break, one will survive. So, oops, I have to go into my inventory. Oh wait, no, I didn't make it yet. Wooden hoe. I'm carrying too much. It didn't put... Yeah, okay. Wooden hoe in my number 3 slot, and let's continue. So when you finish a 5x10 or 50 plot field, you should have unlocked the barn and the food storage, which is a good start. And it's ready to be fertilized. To fertilize things, you need a bag, and you need fertilizer, 1 for each plot. So I need 50 fertilizer and a bag. So for now, I'm going to put my stone axe, one of my torches, my wooden hammer, my wooden hoe, and my wooden shovel, put them all away. And all of this stuff, every bit of resources that I've got. I'm just going to throw it in here. So now I'm only carrying 10.8 kilograms, which is good because I need some stuff. I need to get manure with which to make fertilizer. Let me just look on the technology tree. I've got resource storage unlocked. And I've got the food storage in the barn unlocked. So what I want next is the woodshed, because that will help or allow me to hire a villager, recruit a peasant who will cut wood. And I can stop doing it so much. I need to go to town. So let's jog back to town. I'm cutting over this way a little bit because I think over on the left are some wolves that I would love to avoid. Let's drink a little. Here is an overturned wagon. Overturned wagons you find on the side of the road sometimes, and they have sometimes interesting things that you might want to keep. This one only has stone and limestone. There's some limestone. Limestone's useful later, it's not useful right now. Here's a sack. Linen fabric sells for a good price. Bronze pickaxe sells for a good price. Planks may be useful later, but I don't need them right now. I will ignore them. The other way you can make a little money is with hunting. So when you go hunting, you kill animals and put their roast the meat and build things out of their leather. I have copper arrows and the worst possible bow, so I'm not really sure how this will go. I don't like this bow at all. It's very inaccurate. I'm an archer in real life. It's one of my hobbies. And you get kind of a feeling for how certain bows work. And this bow does not work in the way that any bow should work. But let's try. Nope, totally missed. Because it's extremely inconsistent. Inspector mode should let you find your arrows. I feel like there's a bit of a bug in this version since the update that Inspector mode does not show you your arrows anymore, or only sometimes does. Anyway, let's see if we can hit a deer. We need to get our stamina back. Okay, so inspector mode is showing me that one. You can pick your arrows back up. That is good to know. Animals will, if you hit them with an arrow, they will bleed. It doesn't go on forever. It might not kill them, but their health does deplete over time. That is good to know. Okay, so there was a stag who was bugged out and was just standing there. You can skin them if you have a knife. And you get your arrows back, the ones that were stuck in them anyway. And you get leather and you get meat. And you may get a deer skull. You may not. And even, strangely, the does, the female deer, give you a deer skull with antlers. Which isn't very realistic, but it's nice because you can use deer skulls later in the game to decorate with. Got another deer. So I got lots of meat and I got lots of leather and I've lost a lot of arrows that I just can't find. Which I think is a bug, but I'm not absolutely sure yet. I need to do a little testing and see if that actually does seem to be a bug or not. You can also see down in the bottom left, there is a new little gauge, little circle down there. That means I am dirty. If you get really dirty, you will poison yourself. When you get dirty, you can go into water, but it has to be deep enough. This isn't. And it will clean you. So let's jog around to Piastovia. Oh, here's a little interesting find. There's a shovel. There's some stone. I'm going to take all this stone, and then there's a bag of coins under it. So it's good to check these things. I don't need to keep the stone because stone is easy to find. And what you want to do when you've got a bunch of leather is make simple bags. I can make 10. They sell for a lot more than a piece of leather, so it's a good way to get a little bit of money. And I unlocked a new building because I started crafting things finally. So I unlocked the workshop. So if I jump in the water over here, it's going to be deep enough, it will clean me. Sometimes when you are too dirty, there you go, see the dirty meter disappeared. Sometimes when you're too dirty, people will refuse to talk to you. Which is bad, obviously. So, I'm going to run to the market, sell some things, sell some... Actually, the trick in Piastovia is we have a fire and a bed we can use. I told you that at the beginning. If we go back to the sick house, which is over here, downstairs, in this log house, we can use this fire to cook meat. And because we have fast crafting on, it doesn't take forever. There we go, the meat's done. So we can sell roasted meat. Oh, I got a new level in production. Again, I'm going to take crafting knowledge because it gives me an extra 5% experience in anything I craft. So, go to anybody,
How are
Posnomir,
you?
and sell some stuff. I got a bronze pickaxe. which I don't need. I got a bunch of simple bags. I will keep 2 of those because I'll need them for farming. I don't need a moral mushroom. I don't need a potion of saturation. Don't really need a potion of strength or a potion of weight. I can sell both of those. I can sell all of this meat. And now I'm back up above 1,000. Oh, and I can sell this linen, fabric. Yeah, I've got
Whatever you
1,200
need, see you around.
coin. And now I want to go to
Oh,
Markislav.
it's you again.
Because Markislav sells fertilizer. So you can buy fertilizer for 6 each, or you can buy manure for 1.4 each. 2 manure makes 1 fertilizer. So basically it's a little less than half price for the manure, but you need a barn to make manure into fertilizer. So I'm going to buy all of his fertilizer. I actually need 100, but I'll take 80 for now.
Price is so low.
I'll come back
Goodbye.
tomorrow and get more. And we'll go dump that in our village, which is really just my house. And build a barn. Why are we doing this? In this order, in this way. Why are we doing this? We are doing this way because if you plant flax, and flax can only be planted in the spring. So in your very first spring, if you plant flax, you can harvest it in summer and flax sells for a lot. So it becomes a pretty easy, almost completely passive way to make some money. Long term, flax is the big money maker. You plant flax, and when you have a sewing hut, you can turn it into linen thread, which you can turn into linen fabric, which you can turn into linen shirts, for example, and many other things. And if you do all of that and sell the clothing, it sells for a lot of money. So I always start with 5x10 flax field. I can usually get the money together relatively easily to get flax seeds, to get manure, to make fertilizer. And therefore I can plant at least 1 flax field in the first year. So let's go do that. We're going to need to build a barn first though. That's important. Otherwise we can't make fertilizer. At the moment, we're doing everything by ourselves. In the future, in year 2 in my village, most things will already be done by villagers that we have recruited. But we're not quite there yet. So, almost back to the village, or my house. Oops. And because my house is the only place where I have any storage at the moment, I will dump a number of things like the manure in my house storage. Chicory I don't need right now. Daisy I don't need right now. Don't need a wooden shovel. Don't need the bags right now. Don't need the bow or the copper arrows right now. So, let's take the logs, the sticks, and the straw, and the stone, because those are all going to go towards building a barn. Let's build, and at the moment, I'll tell you right now, I am not planning things too much. I am keeping things very simple. But when you're building in general, it's good to keep an eye on the cardinal points of the compass, north, south, east, and west. Because your fields are always going to be facing north, south, or east, west. If you want anything else to line up with them in any kind of sensible way, you might want to go on your compass and put it directly east or directly west or something. Good to keep in mind. Wait, I haven't got a wooden hammer. We'll get back to good to keep in mind in just a sec. So, I have a wooden hammer now. Let's put it in 6. I always put the hammer in 6 for some reason. So you can see where it is. And you can see where the field is. If you want these to line up in a more perfect way, you can just go left trigger, destroy, and then take it out. And if you leave on the destroy mode, it can be really useful to see where things are or where they will be or how lined up they are. So for example, if I go directly west on the compass and I get this right in the middle of the field and come out until it goes green, boom, I can drop it and it's lined up with that field. It's quite close to that field, but that's okay for now. I may move it later. So, 2 more stones. These look like stones, but they're not. Not pick-upable stones. That's a pick-upable. So is that. So, the computer I record on just crashed. So let's get back to it. We are building the barn, and we're going to try and do it before it gets too dark. But one of the typical things that we do, especially early in Medieval Dynasty, is we work through the night in the dark. I'm just going to gather up some rocks so I can make some extra axes, because I'm going to have to cut a bunch of logs again. Because this is what we do early in Medieval Dynasty. We cut a lot of logs. There goes a fox. Cute. Foxes will attack you if you get too close and mess with them. But otherwise they'll pretty much leave you alone. And remember, we don't take stumps down if we want that tree to grow back. And I like having this little wooded area right here. Generally, good to know when you're cutting trees, generally, the tree will fall away from you. Not always. So it's good to keep an eye on it, especially as you're getting used to things. The trees will kill you. If a tree falls directly on you, like hits you in the head, it will kill you. If it bounces, which trees do, let's watch this one. No, not so bouncy. But trees do bounce. Let's make another stone axe. We need sticks. Get saplings for sticks. I'm going to get some extra and make 2 axes, because stone axes wear out really quickly. Trees sometimes bounce. And generally, if you're standing next to a tree and it bounces up, it will hurt you but not kill you. But if you aren't paying attention and a tree falls right on your head, it will kill you. So don't do that. Making stone axes. Again, we have fast crafting turned on, so it is a lot quicker than it otherwise would be. Note that you can turn fast crafting on and off. You can turn fast building on and off while you're playing. You don't have to do it at the beginning of the game and you're stuck with it. So You can do it anytime. Try something out. If you don't like it, you can turn it back off or on, whatever. You can even turn up experience gain by 1000% if you want to. Default is it's set at 100%, of course. You can make your game harder if you really want to, and turn XP gain down. I would never do that myself, but you can. Some people play the game with 10-day seasons, which I personally cannot imagine. Seasons take long enough already, and I've turned it only up to 5, but some people turn it up to 10. And you are welcome to do that. As I said, my mantra is your game, your fun, your rules. Especially if the developers built something into the game, then using it cannot be cheating. And even if someone else thinks it's cheating, who cares what anyone else thinks? Am I right? Anyway, let's cut down more trees. Wait, we already cut down some over here. Let's cut them up first. Logs. And I think
I need something.
Ooh, I need to eat something. Eating is interesting. If you look at the bottom, there is a food value. So dried meat, it says plus 13 food. Your food meter is 100. So you're going to have to eat a lot of dried meat to fill yourself up. The oat roll is plus 80. So that would get me up to 93 of 100 if I eat it right now. It also has other effects, like you consume less stamina. Only 10% less, but still. Apples give you a little bit of health. Broadleaf plantain, which is a plant that you can find anywhere, gives you 5 health. So I'm going to eat a stack of dried meat. The nice thing about dried meat is it lasts longer. Food in this game does rot. It loses condition and will eventually turn to an object called rot. And if you don't eat it before it reaches a low percentage, something like 30%, then if you eat it, it will start poisoning you. It will still function as food, but it will start poisoning you. And eventually it turns to rot. And you'll end up with an object in your inventory, or multiple objects in your inventory, called rot. And those you cannot eat. Or actually, I think you can eat them, but they only poison you. They don't do anything good for you at all. So I just unlocked the woodshed, which is very good. We need a woodshed soon, but we'll deal with that in the next video. Straw, straw. So we just need a bunch of logs now. It's a bright night with a big moon, so I'm just going to keep working through the evening. We're gonna, in this video, we will get a house built, a barn built, and a field put down. That much will do. And I said I would take out. I haven't got a wooden shovel on me right now, but I can make one. So, wooden shovel. We said we were gonna take out birches. So let's. Where is that birch stump? There. Birch stump. Take it out. Now we're taking out all of these trees, and it's going to look very bare for a little while. Whoop, there you go. There's that tree bounce I was talking about. Have to be careful about that. Don't want to be too close to a tree when it falls over. So I'm getting close to having enough to finish the barn. This tree, maybe one or two more, and that should do it. Working at night is not so bad when you've got a big moon. I can see still pretty well. Hopefully on the video recording it's actually relatively clear. But sometimes it's really, really dark. And it's much harder to work at night. But this is totally fine. And we almost have a barn. Boom, we have a barn. So the barn gives you a table and it's a workbench, and you can produce fertilizer. You can produce fertilizer out of rot. You can produce poppy seeds. You can produce animal food, and you can produce daub, which is a kind of insulation. There is a chest you can put things in.
I haven't been drinking enough
And
today.
there's a quern. And a quern is where you can make flour out of either rye grain, wheat grain, or oat grain. And when you have grown something, some sort of grain, you can thresh it, which is basically smack it with a stick until it separates into straw and oats or flax or rye
I could
or
really
whatever
do
it
with
is.
a drink.
So, now that we have that, we're going to go get that manure and get the simple bag and get the wooden hoe and get rid of the wooden shovel that we certainly don't need, and we can get the flaxseed, and we can go down here. We are loaded down carrying heavy things, but we can go down here to the workbench and make fertilizer. And because we have manure, manure is 2 to 1. 2 manure makes 1 fertilizer, so we can make 40 out of the 80 manure we have.
I could really do with a drink.
All right. Now we got this side of our barn. And in the complete dark, if you use the inspector mode, you can see each plot of your fields. So what we do is we equip a simple bag. Or just a bag.
I haven't been
The
drinking
objects are
enough
actually
today.
called bag or simple bag. I really kind of urgently need to drink. So I'm gonna drop, wait a sec, go back down here, go into the barn and put the fertilizer in the box, in the chest. And I'll put stone and sticks and logs. I'll put a bunch of stuff in there. Just to get rid of it for now, and we're gonna run up to the lake. Or over and down to the lake. Just to get a drink.
Parched.
It's dark, but the dark is not a problem in this game. There are no things that are more active, no animals that are hunting or anything like that. The dark is just dark. It can be hard to see where you're going, especially if it's not a very moonlit night, but otherwise it doesn't really matter. So what we want is 40 fertilizer. Now we go to our field. We equip our simple bag or our bag. And then we select seed. As it says in the tutorial, left trigger, field, fertilizer in this case, or whatever seed you're putting down. Fertilizer is not seed, obviously, but you get the idea. And then we just right trigger on each one that says it's unfertilized. And that's one row. And then just to give you the idea, I'll put the wooden hoe in number 3, pull out the wooden hoe, and you can look at it with inspector mode, and it'll say unplowed or unfertilized. The unplowed ones, first we grub them up, then we fertilize them, then we plow them. That is, hit them with a hoe again, and then they are unsown, and then you put seed in. So I'll do one row completely just to show you, and then I'll fast forward doing the rest. So now we have an unsown row and the rest of the field is unfertilized. Now we switch to our bag again. We go right trigger again, and we go to seeds, and we go to flaxseed. And you can see down in the bottom right, it changes underneath the bag. It says flaxseed 50. So we have 50. And you just go to these and hit the unsown ones with seed. And that's our row finished. And then if you inspector mode again, it shows you flax, 5, and then the rest of the field unfertilized. And we unlocked the farm shed just by doing that. So now I'll fast forward this and do the rest of the field. Okay, we've got one more row to go. I was just thinking, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. It's such a complex game with such a steep learning curve. It's hard to remember what was confusing at the beginning and what people might want to know or need to know or might misunderstand. As we can see, I have 2 rows of my field that are not done because I could only afford, or the guy only had 80 manure, which made 40 fertilizer, so I'm 10 short for my 50 field, my 5x10, but that's a good start. It's a really good start. And for now, I'm gonna put away the bag, which is what you use for fertilizer and seeds. I'm gonna put away the hoe, and I'm gonna take my, well, actually, I probably wanna take the logs, the sticks, maybe the stones and the straw, and I'm gonna put up a wood shed so that we can get woodworking next season. So, buildings, well, right bumper, buildings, production, or extraction, and woodshed. The woodshed's a small and pretty simple building. It's good theme-wise, it's not necessary at all. But it's good thematically. It feels like it belongs in or near a bunch of trees. Absolutely does not need to be built near a bunch of trees. The funny thing about it is villagers who are working in the woodshed cut down imaginary trees or something. They don't actually cut down the trees that are around them. So when these trees grow back, they'll be there forever. They will not be cut down unless I, the player, cut them down again. But the villagers will provide you with wood. Where they are cutting it down, where they're getting it from, is anybody's guess. But it's not these trees. There are it's kind of confusing, but all villagers working, or the work that all villagers do, other than farmers, does not affect the world. So it doesn't matter actually where they are, where the farmers are, or sorry, where the workers are. It doesn't matter whether they have a lot of things they need. I'm just going to run down to the lake again and get some more. Oh, there's another tree that I cut down and didn't cut up. Yeah, we'll get into villagers more in the next video, but most of them, except farmers, it doesn't matter if they have a long walk to work. It doesn't matter if their home is anywhere near work at all. It doesn't matter whether the material that they're meant to be gathering is anywhere near where they're working. I got a couple of levels in survival. I will get survival sense. Survival sense is always the second one I get because it allows you to see sticks, stones, mushrooms, feathers, and herbs in inspector mode. It's really useful when you're looking for stones to pick up and that kind of thing. And then I'll get another point in survival knowledge because more experience is good. Your villagers don't have to be anywhere near what they're doing, and they will not have any visible effect on the world. For example, the person that you put in the hen house will gather feathers and eggs for you, but in the hen house there will still be eggs that you can gather. So people get confused and they think the person is not gathering eggs. They are. They're just doing it abstractly in the background, and they're putting them in your food storage automatically. And then you can walk into the hen house and gather more eggs. So it's good to know those things early, otherwise it's kind of confusing. Okay, I've got enough reeds to finish, more than enough reeds to finish the woodshed. People often ask about planning a village. Whoops, there it is. Woodshed is finished. So at the woodshed, you can make planks and you can make firewood. And when you have a villager, you can get them to cut down trees, gather sticks, create planks, and create firewood. We'll get into that, like I said, in the next video. For now, we're going to go back to town because the stock that the guy has should be restocked. I'm going to put feathers, logs, spruce bark, straw, and sticks in my chest. I'll keep the flax. I'll keep the food. I'll keep the tools. That's fine. Ah, one thing I just noticed. I have a deer skull. Deer skulls are pretty heavy. You get them randomly, and you don't know when you're going to get them, and you usually don't notice that you got them, but it's good to check occasionally. They're in the miscellaneous, what I call valuables section, where your coin is and where your deer skulls are. So they're good to keep for later. You can sell them if you want, but I like to keep them for later because you always come to a point where you want to decorate and hang deer skulls on walls in people's houses, and then you've got them. So, I'm going to run back into town and get more manure so I can get a full field of flax happening. Again, I'm running over this way a bit wider than I need to because I know there are some wolves over there on the left somewhere, and I would like to avoid them. Yep, you see one of them? He's chasing a deer, and now he's going to start chasing me. maybe if I run down here fast enough, he'll lose interest. Yep, he's gone. You can always tell when an aggressive animal is interested in you because the music will change. I wanted to build down here. I just think it's really interesting having this huge rock sticking up out of the ground like a big dagger or a big fang or something. I was going to call my town Fang Rock, but there's no mine quite nearby. And I like having a mine nearby. It's not necessary. Like, there's no problem with building your village far away from a mine. The two different things that you can do with a mine are, at the beginning, a mine is... Rabbit punch. A mine is basically just a cave that you, yourself, the player, can walk into. You can then look around, find different nodes of copper and tin, and you can mine them yourself. And once you can build a smithy, which doesn't take that long, you can then turn those, the copper ore and the tin ore that you've gathered into ingots or bars, and then you can start with the smithy making better tools. And you can start out with copper tools, and then you can eventually make bronze tools. So that's one thing that you can do with a mine. The other thing you can do with a mine is you can build a building that you unlock, which does take a while to unlock, called a mine. And it's a building that you build basically in the opening of the cave that goes into the tunnels. And you can put your villagers in there and tell them to mine, and they will get copper, tin, and iron ore out of the mine. Somehow adding a mine building to a mine makes iron ore appear. Somehow. It's a magic mine, I guess. I'm here too early. No one's here. No one's here. So you can see that yellow exclamation mark over here. Sphere. Sphere has a quest for me. And I know what Sphere's quest is. I'm not going to take it right now, because I'm focused on doing other things. Actually, I will take it right now.
Welcome.
Sphere is crazy. Reading a notice board? Can I help you somehow? Oh yes, the Chosen One. The world is in grave danger. Chosen One, grave danger. I'm not sure if that was the answer to my question. The ancient evil is raising its head from the swamp. People must be warned, but no one wants to listen to me, especially the quartermaster. People need to open their minds, but you look like someone with an open mind, or an open one. Do I? You need to warn the citizens of Piastovia. They're more likely to listen to you. What exactly should I tell them? That the end is nigh. We all should prepare for the worst, and don't go near the swamp. And if I talk to them, you'll let me be? Of course. It will be up to them what they will do with the warning. End dialogue. Okay. So now I have to go and talk to a few different people. But before I do that, I want to find Markuslav. He's the man with the manure. Here he is.
How are you?
Show me your wares. So I only need 10 more fertilizer this season at least. Whoa. Okay, so he hasn't restocked. That is a pity. I was hoping he would restock and I could get some manure. So I only need 10 more fertilizer though, so I'll just buy fertilizer and I won't make it out of manure. I'll just get the actual finished fertilizer and I'll only get 10, which is exactly what I need.
Whatever you need, so long.
So, when you get a quest, go into your journal, and it doesn't necessarily turn it on. So I have Stay Vigilant, but I also have the End is Nigh. I'll turn that on, and now it's going to show me on the compass above my head, top of the screen, it shows me different people that I'm meant to tell, because this guy wanted me to warn them. So here's Svitomila, and I'm just going to do number 1 for each of them, which is basically just telling them that the end is nigh, as if everything is totally serious, as if we totally believe the crazy man that we just talked to. And oh no, the woman I need to find is outside the town, over near the stables. There she is, Goslava. Or Goslava? Don't know. And I'll give her a number 1 as well. What would you do if you learned the world was about to end? That would be a relief. Can it come before the next harvest? Yeah, it's a cute little quest. The interesting thing that I noticed about the quest, and we'll see this a bit later, is this guy Sphere. Let's go into first person so we can really have a look at him. He has sort of clown makeup on his face, or sort of black tears, if you want, whatever, on his face. We will run into somebody else, whoops, that has that kind of makeup on his face as well. And they're definitely not, or at least they seem to not be the same person. So I'm here to warn you that the end of the world is coming. What? I don't have time for such things. Okay. So that's all done. And then we can go back to Sphere and tell him my open mind came back. I'm not sure if anyone would like to be called your mind. Anyway, I talked to some people in Piastovia. So people had been warned. How did they react? It was a lot to take in for most of them. Good. But now, my dear friend, we need to act quickly. I had a vision, and I now know how to stop the calamity. A vision, you say? I have a vision. There is a ritual that needs to be performed under the tree on a swamp. I think he means in the swamp. Well, there are many trees on a swamp, so it shouldn't be difficult. Oh, it's not just under any tree. The tree. This one is special. You'll recognize it at once. So how does this ritual look like? I hope it doesn't require any human or animal sacrifices. We need to gather all the necessary objects first. Some rye, 2 pieces of roasted meat, 2 perches, and 1 stone. You realize that if you wanted some food, it would be enough to ask instead of coming up with this too elaborate of a plan. What? No. The food is absolutely crucial for the ritual. Yeah, sure. I'll bring you the food. Okay, so we progressed in the quest. I'm going to leave it for now and go back and get things done in our little tiny seed of a village. If you're watching this, and you're still watching, thank you. And why don't you tell me if you have any ideas for a name for our little village? It'll be a while before I can officially name it, but it would be kind of cool to have a viewer come up with a name. I'm horrible at naming places and things like this. I'll think about it, but maybe you can think about it too. And leave a comment. It's funny, especially starting a new channel like this, and this being the very first video, you can't help but be very, very curious. Who's out there? Is anybody out there? is anybody watching this? And you get numbers, of course. It's pretty easy to see whether someone's watching it or not. But it's nice to actually start meeting people. I have a channel where I talk about books, mostly fantasy books, some science fiction, and occasionally comics. And it's been really, really fun over time getting to know the people who watch the channel or other people who have their own channels. And I'm really curious if this channel, Curious Monkey Gaming, will also lead to those kinds of contacts. I kind of hope so, because it's fun. It's an interesting and enjoyable way to meet people. Anyway, we're almost back. Let's see if we run into any wolveses. Hopefully not. And you can already see our town, our little, well, the beginnings of our village. You can see the barn from a distance, which is nice. It's nice when you come around a corner and you've built quite a village. I've built pretty big villages in the past. It's nice when you come around a corner and you see it. And all the little roofs and people wandering around and all of that sort of stuff. We will get there. I'm kind of thinking I might do one video per season. And I will shorten the seasons once we get a few things happening. But for now, I'll keep the seasons at five days. And we'll see how we go. So, I'm back. I have the flax seed. I'm going to put the hoe back in the slot. So that I need to put the bag back in the slot 2. Or slot 3. And left trigger, pick out fertilizer. And now I can fertilize these last 10 plots. And then I can hoe them, and then I can put seeds in. So the main reason I'm doing all of this is because you want to earn technology points. And doing things yourself earns a lot more technology points than having your villagers do them. I don't have any villagers yet anyway, so that's kind of irrelevant. Let's see, do I have a log in here? I don't think I do. Nope. And do I have any in my house? So you get a lot more technology points by doing things yourself. So especially at the beginning, it's valuable to do as much as you can yourself. Crafting yourself, farming yourself, all of the things. Building yourself. I mean, you have to do the building yourself pretty much all the time. That doesn't change. But doing these meditative farming tasks, other than being, like I said, kind of meditative, is a way to level up much faster than if you're getting your villagers to do it and waiting for things to build up. When your villagers are doing things in the future, starting in the next video, they do earn technology points for you, right? It's not like you don't get anything, but it's just a lot less. I haven't measured it, but considering how often I get a technology unlock or a skill unlock doing things myself, as opposed to having them do it, it's a very clear difference. Yeah, it's definitely a very clear difference. So that field, if we look at it with the inspector mode, is all flax now. Flax can only be planted in spring. Flax you harvest in summer, so it only takes one season, which is nice. I'm going to get rid of the bag and the hose. And keep the fern sticks for now, and the feathers and the simple bark, just to keep things a little more organized. And put them all in here. But yeah, the thing with flax, I'm possibly repeating myself, but it's really useful basically for making money. So to start with, you get flax when you harvest in summer. So next season we can harvest flax. And then after harvesting flax, we can eventually we'll get a sewing hut, which is in the technology tree for production. Once we get a sewing hut, we can turn that flax into, well, actually what you need to do is you take the flax into the barn and you thresh it, which is basically removing or separating the flax stalks from the flax seed. And once you do that, I'm just gathering stones to make another axe, or another couple axes. I need a whole bunch of sticks. Once you do that with flax, then you take the flax stalk to the wheel in the sewing hut, which I have not built yet. And once you spin it, it becomes linen thread. Once you have linen thread, you can make linen fabric. And once you have linen fabric, you can make it into lots of different kinds of clothing, all in the sewing hut. And this is the way to make money. I mean, there are lots of different ways to make money, and people concentrate on different things. I like the flax method because you can grow a lot of flax every year. Our little 50 plot field right now is small potatoes. Very much. Once we have 5 50 plot fields and we're getting 250 plots of flax harvested every year, that starts to really make a difference. Damn birch trees. That one bounced and luckily missed me. Log. So what we want to do now is build one more simple house, which is going to be for our woodcutter, and one resource storage. Maybe a food storage, but we may not manage that this season. But if we can get all of that ready, then we'll be very ready for hiring some or recruiting some villagers in the next video. And then we can stop doing so much of this grunt work ourselves and make our peasants do it. This is also a delayed gratification idea. I know that there are better ways to make a lot more money right at the beginning of the game, but they all don't last. So I like doing some work and building up a way that will make me money forever, like having a field, and waiting a little longer on the quick money. Or maybe not at all doing the quick money. The quick money is stealing things And I'm not the kind of person that has a moral objection to that or anything like that. But I don't want to do it in this build. I want to show you options. And if you feel like doing that,
It seems
be
I
my
forgot
guest.
about
I will
food.
not stop you by
Again.
any means. Like I always say, your game, your fun, your rules. So if you want to be running around thieving, do that. It's awesome. I've done it. But I wanted to do this as a game for people who maybe don't want to do that. And if you do want to do it, then you can just do it. When you do go to steal things,
The more you work, the hungrier you get.
it's good to be aware that you will see a marker, right? When you point at something that belongs to someone else, it will say in red, steal. Like many games. It's nothing new and surprising. It'll show you that if you take this, you are stealing. As long as no one sees you, it doesn't have any
It seems
effect
I forgot
on
about
anything.
food.
If someone sees you, you lose dynasty reputation. Dynasty reputation, you need to be high so that you can hire as many villagers as you need or want. So it does have repercussions, but they're easy to avoid, put it that way. And they're not too serious. There's no law or anything in this game. There's nobody that's going to come and arrest you or take any of your stuff or anything like that. The other thing to know about stealing
I
is
can hear my stomach
you
rumbling.
can't sell the things you steal in the place that you stole them, which makes sense. You have to take them to another village, so you have to do a little trip to Planitza or some other town if you're stealing things in Piastovia. Next time we're in Piastovia, I will probably forget, but I'll try to remember. I'll show you the house where you can steal really, really good stuff. So if you want to do that as a way to get money early on, you're welcome to. I'm just avoiding it in this particular Let's Play. The other thing is, right at the beginning, stealing stuff isn't really necessarily a super fast way to make money, because you have to travel by foot to the place where you can sell it. You can't sell it where you stole it. You can't just turn around and sell it where you are. So it's not really necessarily that quick, but it is a nice way to explore a little more. You go to other places and see the other towns, which we won't be doing for a little while. I wanted to focus on the things that are confusing to people when they start the game, and explain those step by step as we develop further and further. Chopping trees is tedious. In the next season, we will get well out of tree chopping and into more interesting things, like people management. That becomes a whole different ballgame. Right now, I'm just a solo weirdo out in the woods building huts. I got another level in extraction. Master of Destruction. Definitely take that. And then I'm going to put another point in knowledge. Oops, that's a log. So I'm building another house. This is going to belong to one of my villagers. I need straw. It looks like, yeah. Let's go to the inventory. I don't have any straw. Okay, that explains it. So back over to the lake, which is good because I need a wash and a drink as well. So, wash and drink first. And let's gather some reeds. When you're preparing for your first villager or two, it's important to remember, or important to understand, it was totally confusing to me when I first started playing the game. They need things. And they will be totally fine if they have the things they need. And the basics that they need are food, firewood, and water. For them to get water, you have to put it in buckets. There is no other way. Well, you can put it in water skins as well. And you can give them other things to drink, like wine and juice and stuff like that. But the easiest thing is water, for sure. Obviously. So, you want to make sure when you are making a house for a new person, and you don't have a food storage built yet, and usually you might not, I will not, you want to make sure that in the chest in the house that they're going to live in, there is food, firewood, and water. So we'll make sure to take care of that. Whoops, ran into a stump. We're going to make sure to take care of that before we start the next episode, where we will hire our first villager. So this will be a little house for our woodcutter to live in. And they have a chest in here. And in that chest, actually right now, I will throw in some dried meat. And that's food covered. In here, we have... we don't have a bucket. I guess we didn't take the bucket out of the chest in the town. That's okay. We'll put down a well anyway. So well is buildings, production, well. It's producing water. Logs, logs, logs and straw, logs and, oops, one log. I need one log for the well. The well is a good building to have because it'll keep you from doing what I've been doing and running down to the lake or your nearest river or whatever your nearest body of water is. Do I have, whoops. Do I have a shovel? I don't. Can I make a shovel? I can't. I need 2 logs. Okay, let's make 2 logs. Birch tree, give me 2 logs. shovels, in case I didn't say this earlier, shovels will give you 1 log by digging up a stump. So I dig up this, I get 1 log. There was another birch stump. I'm just eradicating birches. I'm highly birch prejudiced. There it is. I will not suffer a birch stump to live. So, got rid of the birch stumps, got some logs, I can finish the well. So when you have a well, you can do 2 things. You can craft, which is either you have a water skin that's empty, or you have a bucket that's empty and you can fill them, or you can just hold down A and drink instead of running down to the lake. It's nice. So this looks pretty desolate at the moment, but it will look much better once the trees grow back. If you want to clear a space, you just dig up stumps. And I'm wondering, the next thing I want to build is buildings, storages, resource storage. And I was wondering if I could get it in there, but apparently I can. So I don't have any stones. Did I put any stones anywhere else? This is the very early game dance, where you forget where you put everything and what you already have and don't have, and you're storing things all over the place. But this is why we build a resource storage, because a resource storage becomes your central storage for everything. Now that I have that new perk, like I told you, I can see that these green things are stones. And it makes them really easy to find, which is pretty handy. Like I said, broadleaf plantain heals you 5 health, so it's good to pick those up if you see them. You may as well. And again, that's also much easier with that perk, that skill that gives you neon glowing things that you can find very easily. I just unlocked the herbalist's hut. The herbalist is interesting when you have an herbalist. So a villager who's actually working as your herbalist, you can very easily gather things. So you can send him out to gather mushrooms or berries or whatever you want. And he'll take care of all of that for you and gather lots and lots of those, and you don't have to. So if you want broadleaf plantain, herbalist is the way to get it, really. Because he'll just, he'll go out and get hundreds of them for you every year, which is pretty cool. So, I'm back to needing lots of logs. So I'm back to cutting down more trees in the dark. When you're cutting down trees, you have to use your imagination. So all of this area there is going to be full of trees. It's going to be almost like a little forest. It's not going to be desolate and open and empty and full of tree stumps. So that's one of the things to keep in mind early on. And I like trees. I don't like clearing them. I remember how annoyed with myself I was. In my very first village, I cleared all of the stumps because I thought, oh, I'm getting more logs. If I clear a stump, I get a log, and more logs is good. And so I was clearing everything. And I ended up with a very naked, desolate looking village, which I didn't like very much. So, bang a bunch of straw into the roof here. And now we're just down to logs and sticks. And we're not carrying very much, which is good. I might actually sleep until the next day because it's getting a little dark and hard to see. So catch you tomorrow. Good morning, Medieval Dynasty. Good morning, partially built resource storage. Loggy, log, 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 log. Like I said, this gets a little tedious. But what I was also wanting to tell you, at the very beginning, don't stress about what you're doing. Because you're learning the game, you don't know how everything works, you don't know where everything is. It's absolutely okay to take your time and learn the game and build, maybe in a stupid way to start with. That's all totally fine. Give yourself permission to just experiment and play around and see how things are and what you like and what you don't like and whatever. But once you kind of know what's going on, it's not a bad idea to have a bit of a plan. And planning can be really difficult. And people approach it differently. I'm somewhere in between a real planner and a make it up as I go alonger. I like having a general idea, but not having a detailed plan. I don't want it to be too thought out because it starts feeling boring, for me at least. So I don't like getting into too much detail with the plan, but I like having a general idea, like I'm going to put fields over there, and I'm going to put production buildings over here, and all of that sort of stuff. You can't do that when you're first starting the game, and it's totally fine, because you don't know what buildings there are. You haven't unlocked any or most of them. You just don't know anything. You don't know enough, anyway. So let it just grow. Like what I'm doing here is I'm building the very first essential buildings, and I may tear half or all of these down in the not too distant future because it's not that many and I get half of the resources back. Then in the summer, or actually in spring, I'm going to do it right now. And you're going to have to forgive me. I'm going to cheese something. It depends on how you think. It may be kind of cheating. You can tell me in the comments if you think it's cheating. For me, it's just I want to play the game this way. I don't want to have the hassle of killing those bears down there. You can see them. Killing bears is pretty challenging. And if we look on the map, and we go to, on the right side, we go to wild animals. And we go over here where I am, you can see there is a bear spawn right there. Right? Now we can measure a distance by putting a marker on that. There's only one marker. You can either click it on or off, basically. So we put a marker on that. And then in the compass, we can see that we are 64 meters from that marker. If you are within 70 meters of an animal spawn and you build something, the animal spawn goes away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to build a short piece of road and then run away. If you just don't want to mess with animals, you don't want to have to contend with a bear, or even if you've just bothered to go kill the bears, but you don't want them to come back, you can do the same thing. You can just build a small piece of road or a small building, as you like, build it within 70 meters of where they are spawn, and they will not be there next season. The spawn will be blocked next season. To start with, it's still there. It doesn't make them disappear spontaneously. But next season they will not be there anymore. And that's what I want. Because my village is quite spread out. I have these things down here. I want to move maybe more things up there closer to the bears. I want to start working in the mine. And I don't want the hassle of dealing with bears. And as I said before, more than once, my game, my fun, my rules. So, you can call me a cheat down in the comments if you want. That's fine. I don't mind. I have thick skin. But it's not going to stop me playing the way I want to play. Basically, I consider anything that's been built into the game by the devs is intentional, because programming anything into a game is a lot of work. These guys worked hard to have an option for me to build a road which will keep the bears from spawning next season. And if that's the way the game works, I am not cheating. If at some point they change their minds and they decide that they didn't mean for it to be there or work that way or whatever, that's maybe a different thing. Although, if you're listening, RenderCube devs, please don't do that. It's nice to have the option to clear out animals that way if you want to. If you want to have a chill, kind of relaxed game and you don't want to stress about bears. And bears will screw you up. Bears are not to be messed with. Bears are serious. And they will definitely mess you up. So, yeah, having at least the option to get rid of bears this way is quite nice. I enjoy it. Sometimes I will just take my time and I'll get better weapons and all that sort of stuff, and I will go kill the bears. But sometimes it's nice to not have to do that. 10 sticks. So I need 20 sticks to make two X's. I also forgot something I often forget. Hunting can be a really hard skill to level up. Because it just takes time if you're actually going and hunting. And you can get villagers to do hunting. There is I haven't put one up yet, but there is a hunting lodge. You can get your villagers, make your villagers into hunters. They can go out and hunt for you. But like I said earlier, villagers doing jobs earns skill points and technology points a lot slower than you doing those things yourself. So, hunting yourself takes time. You have to run around and find deer and shoot them, and if you didn't hit them that well, you have to shoot them again, and you just have to keep going all over the place. Need 3 more logs. You have to keep going all over the place and again and again hunting. And each animal gives you not that much as far as hunting skill points, experience points goes. So, one of the things that actually makes hunting skill points a bit easier and go a bit quicker is traps. You can make rabbit traps. You need, I believe, 10 sticks. I'll make one in a sec and show it to you. Just make sure I have 10 sticks. There's a stick. Yeah, I have enough sticks. So you can go down here. No, sorry. Furniture and decorations. Traps. There is bird trap, which you can buy, which is pretty easy. So I'll buy one of those because it only cost 80. Rabbit trap is 10 sticks. You put it down on the ground somewhere. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't need to be in a secluded place or anything. And it's just a basket with a stick, basically. And it's now armed. It's leaning upwards. And if you check it every day, eventually there will be a rabbit in it. Bird trap, you need 2 sticks and 2 stones. You can put one of those down as well. It, again, doesn't really matter where. And it's essentially just a big rock with a stick under it. And same thing, it will fall down and kill a bird for you. So if you've got both of those, and you can only build one of each to start with, they will passively collect animals, basically. One every day. So you want to check it every day, and then you have to take the animal out, reset it, and they will wear down, so you have to rebuild them later, but they almost cost nothing. So those will give you a bit of hunting points. Now, we have resource storage finished. Resource storage, as you can see on the right side, holds 1,000 kilos. The chest in my house holds 50. So I can put all this stuff in there. Food, I don't really have anything I need to put in there. I don't need to put anything else in there. Let's gather up everything and consolidate it in the resource storage. Feathers, fur, spruce bark, deer skull, chicory daisy. And if you look at things, like, for example, I've got a bow here. If you look at the bottom, just above the description of the bow, it says resource storage. It will tell you what things belong in what places. If you look at food, it tells you it belongs in the food storage. We haven't built a food storage yet, so it stays in my inventory for now. But all of the things, shovels, tools can go in there. All of the things that you need to have access to, that your villagers need to have access to, we'll get into this in the next video, should go in the resource storage. Especially if they say resource storage in their description. And it saves you a lot of space and organizing and weirdness everywhere else if you just use your resource storage wisely. So, we have a resource storage which has stuff in it. What that also means is, I told you before, when we get a villager, next video, we need to have food and water for him, or her, and we need to have firewood. For firewood, it is a resource, it's not food, so we will put it in the resource storage, but first we have to make some. To make firewood, you need logs. Logs, 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 logs. Always need logs. We'll make a good bit of firewood to start with. So we'll take 2 spruce trees, which is 6 logs. Ooh, bouncy log. Yep, 2 spruce trees. Six logs. Log, log, log. And we'll go over here to the woodshed and do 6 firewood. So it doesn't make 6 firewood, it makes 6 logs. And 6 logs turns into, we'll see it in a second, 24 firewood. Which is enough for 1 or 2 people for a long time. And then you put the firewood in the resource storage, and it'll last for quite a while. And as long as it's in the resource storage, your villagers can access it. So, oh, look, we already caught a rabbit here. Collect the rabbit. Wait. Before we do that, let's see. Technology. Survival technology, we've got 106. Hunting skill, we've got 24. When we collect the rabbit and we arm the trap again, we now have 29. So we get 5 hunting skill just for the trap sitting there. And we only get 1 survival technology. Not so much. But for doing nothing, basically, 5 XP is pretty nice. So, what else do we need? Oh, actually, well, I might not do that yet. Let me go look in the barn and see if there's anything that we need to gather from there. You can put tools like a simple bag or a wooden hoe, you can put them in the resource storage. Particularly for farming, I like to keep them in the barn or in the farm shed because I like to do the farming myself to start with, and I just keep them there that I know they're easy to find, they're close to the fields, etc. But you can put them in the resource storage, and people can access them there. People working in the barn can access them in the barn. People working in the farm shed can access them in the farm shed. Anyone can access them in the resource storage if they happen to be there. So that is a way to separate things and sort of control a little bit which tools or resources people are using. So it's getting late in the afternoon on this playthrough. I think I might say goodbye and
Hello.
see you next time. It has been a pleasure. I'm excited by starting this new channel. I hope you are enjoying it. I hope you learned some things. So keep chopping logs, and subscribe if you have enjoyed this. Give me a thumbs up if you've liked it. Give me a thumbs down if you have not liked it. And I will see you next time. Thanks very much.
I'm thirsty.